Hunger has finished me.
Give me that yam to eat now, or I will die!
No, this is mine. I suffered for it.
This is not our king.
A king eats flesh, not bones.
Before humans learned how to farm the land, before huts and villages dotted the earth, there was a time when animals ruled the world. They spoke as humans speak. They reasoned, argued, laughed, and plotted. And the land they ruled was the thick, breathing forest of what would later be called human land, red earth beneath, tall trees above, and the moon counting time for all. But this story did not begin in peace. It began with hunger. A great famine came quietly at first. The rivers grew shallow, fruits fell before ripening, leaves lost their taste. One morning, animals woke up and realized that hunger had followed them into every corner of the forest. And once hunger enters, it refuses to leave easily. They say when the stomach is empty, even the eyes begin to lie. In those days, the lion was king, not because he was wise, but because he was strong. His roar could scatter crowds, and his claws decided disputes. When animals disagreed, they said, "Let the lion hear it," and whatever he decided stood, whether it was fair or not. As hunger grew, the forest changed. Sometimes the strong animals hunted the weak and ate them without shame. Other times, the weak joined together and attacked the strong, driven by desperation. Friends became food, enemies became allies for a night. Nothing stayed the same for long. Many moons passed like this. At night, cries echoed through the trees. In the morning, bones lay where laughter once lived. Even the clever ones struggled, and the proud ones grew thin. Yet, in the middle of this suffering, some animals watched more than they acted. One of them was the tortoise. Tortoise was not strong. His legs were short, his shell heavy, and his speed was nothing to praise. But his eyes were sharp, and his mind never slept. While others chased prey or ran from death, Tortoise observed. He listened. It is said that the one who watches the road learns where it bends. In one early evening, as the sun rested low and the forest prepared for another hungry night, the tortoise noticed something unusual as he made his way to his small home. Smoke, thin and rising steadily into the air. Smoke during famine was not common. Smoke meant fire. Fire meant cooking, and cooking meant food. Tortoise stopped walking. His stomach tightened, not just from hunger, but from curiosity. And curiosity, like hunger, can disturb even the calmest heart. That smoke was coming from Goat's compound. Tortoise stood there for a long moment, his mind already turning like a grinding stone. And without knowing it, the first step toward deception had been taken. As the tortoise continued toward home, he could not get his mind off what he saw, the image of the smoke, thin, steady, and full of promise. His stomach made quiet sounds, reminding him that thinking alone could not fill an empty belly. If smoke rose, he muttered to himself, then fire burned, and if fire burned, something must have been cooking. The moment he stepped into his compound, he called his son and spoke gently, the way elders speak when they want obedience. "Go to Goat's house," Tortoise said, "and ask him for a red-hot charcoal. Tell him your father needs fire." The boy nodded and ran off, his small feet kicking dust along the narrow forest path. It happened that when Tortoise's son arrived, Goat had just finished cooking. Hunger had taught Goat and his kin a skill many animals had not learned: preparation. While others wandered aimlessly in search of food, Goat had quietly stored what he could and cooked when the chance came. When the boy greeted him and explained his errand, Goat looked at him closely. He saw hunger in the child's eyes, the kind that makes one forget pride. Goat handed him a glowing charcoal. Then, after a short pause, he added a portion of food. "Take this," Goat said kindly. "Run home quickly before the fire dies." The boy did not argue. He ran as fast as his legs could carry him. When he reached home, Tortoise's eyes fell not on the charcoal, but on the food. His questions disappeared. Without a word, he took the food from his son and ate it quickly, as though someone might snatch it away. When he was done, he leaned back and sighed. So the goat had food, but hunger is never satisfied with proof alone. Once it tastes, it demands more. Not long after, Tortoise straightened himself and called his son again. "Go back," he said, "and ask for another charcoal." The boy hesitated, then turned and returned to Goat's house. This second time, Goat was just about to serve himself food. Seeing the child again, he frowned slightly but said nothing. He handed over another portion of food along with the charcoal. "Go quickly," Goat said again. But the boy decided against going immediately. As he sat down to eat before returning home, a shadow slipped quietly into the compound. It was Tortoise. He had followed without being noticed, moving slowly, carefully. He sat beside his son and began to eat with great urgency, as though hunger itself chased him. He did not greet Goat. He did not explain himself. Goat watched them silently for a moment, then shook his head. "When hunger leads," he said calmly, "manners follow behind." After a while, Goat stood up and spoke. "I am traveling to my in-laws' house. I must leave soon." Tortoise did not reply. Instead, he ate faster, for in his heart, a new plan was already forming. The goat did not say much more. He wrapped the larger portion of the food left in the pot carefully and began to pack his belongings. Hunger had made him cautious, and long journeys were never taken lightly in those days. He folded his sleeping mat, tried his small bundle, and placed his walking staff by the door. Tortoise watched every movement. Though his mouth was still busy with food, his eyes followed Goat closely. He noticed the care, the direction of Goat's steps, and the quiet determination in his face. This was not a short visit. This was a journey that promised more food. Tortoise licked his fingers and wiped his mouth. If Goat is traveling, he thought, then where he goes, food must also be waiting. As Goat lifted his load, Tortoise finally spoke. "Safe journey," he said, forcing a smile. Goat nodded, though his eyes lingered briefly on Tortoise. He had seen many things in this famine, and none of them surprised him anymore. Goat stepped out of his compound and disappeared into the forest path. Tortoise remained seated for a while, pretending to rest, but his mind was already racing ahead. He did not want Goat to see him following. There is a saying among elders, when you plan to take what is not given, your feet must be lighter than your mouth. After a short time, Tortoise stood up, ran home, and called for his wife. "Alai," he shouted, "prepare my walking stick and my folded clothes. I'm going on a journey." Alai looked at him from where she sat. "A journey?" she asked slowly. "In this hunger?" Tortoise waved her question away. "Just do as I said," he snapped. Alai did not move. She knew her husband too well. She had seen the smoke too. She knew he intended to follow Goat like a shadow follows the body. And in her heart, she did not want trouble knocking on their door. "What clothes?" she asked again. "Which walking stick? Where are you going?" Each question fell like a stone in Tortoise's ears. Outside, time was moving. Goat was already far ahead. Anger rose in Tortoise like hot oil. Unable to wait any longer, he rushed into the house himself. He grabbed his walking stick, pulled his clothes together, and stormed out, leaving Alai standing quietly behind. But delay, even a small one, can change a journey. By the time Tortoise reached the road, Goat was nowhere in sight. The path ahead split and twisted through the forest like a snake. Tortoise stood there, breathing hard, unsure which way to go. Hunger had pushed him onto the road. Now the road would decide his fate. Tortoise stood at the crossroads longer than he wanted to admit. The forest was quiet in a way that made the heart uneasy. 2 paths stretched before him, both narrow, both worn by many feet. Goat was gone, swallowed by distance and time. Tortoise scratched his head slowly, as if wisdom might fall out. If haste were sense, the elders say, the child would outrun the elder. But hunger does not respect elders. Tortoise chose a path and began to walk, his short legs walking harder than usual. His shell felt heavier with every step, yet his mind pushed him forward. Not long after, he saw movement ahead. A squirrel. The small animal was digging the ground desperately, its paws moving fast but finding nothing. Its ribs showed clearly beneath its skin. Hunger had turned its digging into a habit, not hope. Tortoise approached and cleared his throat. "Have you seen goat pass this way?" he asked. The squirrel paused, wiped its nose with its paw, and nodded weakly. "Yes," it said. "It passed here a while ago." Hope jumped in Tortoise's chest. "Is he far?" Tortoise asked. The squirrel sighed. "Far enough," it replied. "But if your legs remember how to hurry, you might still catch him." Then the squirrel returned to its digging. Tortoise did not waste time. He tightened his grip on his walking stick and increased his pace. His breathing grew louder, his feet quicker. He ignored the ache in his legs and the weight of his shell. Hunger was now driving. Soon through the trees, Tortoise caught sight of Goat. He was far ahead, just turning into another path, a wider one that looked like it led to a settlement. Relief washed over him, and he pushed himself harder, whispering encouragement to his legs. "Just a little more," he muttered. By the time Tortoise reached the path, Goat was already entered his in-laws' compound long ago. Tortoise followed the entrance road, tired, dusty, and full of expectation. But expectation, like hunger, can also deceive, for when he arrived, the pots were empty and the meal he chased was already gone.
Tortoise stood at the entrance of the compound, breathing heavily. The smell of food still hung faintly in the air, teasing his nose like a cruel joke. Pots sat nearby, their mouths open, scraped clean. Goat skin moved about calmly, wiping their hands, settling after a meal already enjoyed. Tortoise's heart sank. He had run, he had suffered, he had followed hunger to the end of the road, and still he was late. For a moment, he stood quietly, as if his body had not yet accepted what his eyes had seen. Then suddenly, his face twisted and he dropped to the ground. He began to cry. Not soft crying, not quiet tears. He wailed loudly, beating the earth with his short hands. His voice rose and fell, filling the compound with sorrow and complaint. "Oh, hunger has finished me," he cried. "Oh, is it running that kills a man or waiting?" Goat skin present stopped what they were doing. Goat turned and looked at him in surprise. The in-laws exchanged glances. This was not the time for such noise, yet Tortoise showed no sign of stopping. Goat walked closer. "Tortoise," he said calmly, "why are you crying like a child whose play item has been taken?" Tortoise did not answer. He cried louder. He rolled on the ground, kicking dust into the air, repeating the same cry again and again. It was clear he had made up his mind. He would not stop. They say when a person decides to shame himself, stopping him is harder than lifting a rock. The in-laws grew uncomfortable. Some shook their heads, others whispered. Hunger was already heavy in the land. They did not want trouble added to it. At last, one of them spoke. "Give him something," he said. "Let him go in peace." Goat sighed. He went inside and returned with a single tuber of yam. He placed it gently in front of Tortoise. "Take this," Goat said. "Let your tears dry." As soon as the yam touched the ground, Tortoise's crying stopped. He stood up quickly, wiped his face, and dusted his shell. His eyes were suddenly clear, his voice steady. "Thank you," he said, bowing slightly. "May your house never lack." Without another word, he picked up the yam and turned toward the road home. Those who watched him shook their heads, for they had seen something strange, how tears can rise like rain and disappear like morning dew, all in the same moment. And though none of them said it aloud, a quiet thought passed among them. Hunger can make a clever mind sharper, but it can also teach it dangerous tricks. Tortoise walked home with the yam held tightly against his chest. Each step felt lighter now. Hunger no longer clawed at his stomach the way it had before. The road that earlier seemed long and cruel now felt shorter, almost friendly. When food sits in the hands, the feet forget their pain. He smiled to himself. Even the road listens when one carries hope, he muttered. The forest was quiet, broken only by the sound of dry leaves underfoot. Then suddenly the ground shook slightly. Tortoise stopped. From the side of the path emerged a cow. The cow looked nothing like the proud animals of old. Its eyes were dull, its body was thin, and its legs trembled as it stood. Hunger had stripped it of strength and patience. It breathed heavily, staring at the yam as though it were the only thing left in the world. Cow lowered its head and charged. "Give it to me," Cow cried, its voice shaking. "If I do not eat now, I will die." Tortoise jumped back in fear, clutching the yam harder. "No," he shouted, "this is mine. I suffered for it." Cow did not listen. Hunger had taken over. With one desperate move, Cow swallowed the yam and Tortoise along with it. Darkness closed around Tortoise instantly. He tumbled, hit the sides of Cow's stomach, and landed hard. For a moment, he thought his end had come. But Tortoise was not dead. Cow staggered forward, full now, but not satisfied. Its hunger had been too deep. It wandered into a clearing where other animals were gathered, animals just as hungry, just as desperate. They smelled food. They saw Cow. Without thought or discussion, they surrounded it. Hunger spoke faster than words. They attacked together, and Cow fell. As they began to butcher the cow, something unexpected happened. From inside its stomach, Tortoise crawled out, alive and whole, his shell smeared but unbroken. The animals froze. Before anyone could speak, Tortoise cleared his throat and stood tall. "This cow is mine," he said boldly. "It swallowed me with my food. Therefore, everything inside it belongs to me." Murmurs rose instantly. Anger followed, for hunger may forgive many things, but it rarely forgives greed. And so a new quarrel was born, one that would soon reach the ears of the king himself.
The clearing grew noisy. "What kind of talk is that?" one animal shouted. "How can one shell own a whole cow?" another asked. Tortoise stood firmly, his feet planted on the blood-stained ground. Though he was small, his voice carried confidence. "I was inside it," he said again. "It swallowed me and my yam. If not for me, you would not have killed it, so the cow is mine." The animals stared at him in disbelief. Hunger had made them fierce, but it had not taken away their sense of fairness. They had hunted together, they had killed together, and now one animal wanted everything. A dog barked angrily. A bush pig snorted. Even the quiet antelope shook its head. "This matter is bigger than us," someone said at last. "Let us take it to the lion." At the mention of lion's name, the clearing fell silent. The lion was king over all animals. His word was law. His strength decided truth. In times like these, when anger threatened to turn into bloodshed, his judgment was sought. So the animals left the carcass with the tortoise and moved as one toward the king's home. But Tortoise was not afraid. While the others went to call the lion,
He hurried ahead. His legs walked fast, faster than they ever had before. By the time the lion arrived with the crowd behind him, something unexpected had already happened. From Tortoise's compound, thick smoke rose into the sky. A large pot sat on the fire, bubbling loudly. Tortoise had cooked the entire cow. The smell of meat filled the air, rich and tempting, spreading far beyond the compound. Inside the house, Tortoise and his family had just begun eating, their mouths full, their faces calm. When the lion stepped into the compound and saw this, his eyes narrowed. Without warning, he roared. The sound shook the ground and sent fear into every heart. Tortoise's family screamed and froze where they stood. The animals scattered and ran away in all directions. The lion grabbed a large basket, overturned it, and trapped Tortoise and his family beneath it. "Stay there," the lion commanded. Then he sat before the pot of meat, pulled it closer, and began to eat. He tore flesh from bone and chewed slowly, enjoying each bite. As he finished each piece, he tossed the bare bones into the basket. "Let this be your share." And so the lion feasted on meat, while beneath the basket, Tortoise and his family gnawed at dry bones. It was quiet inside the basket, too quiet, and in that silence, Tortoise began to think. For they say when strength sits down to eat, wisdom must find another way to stand. Inside the basket, the smell of meat filled the air, thick and painful. Outside, they could hear the lion chewing, satisfied and unhurried. Each crunch of bone sent a small ache through Tortoise's chest. His children whimpered softly. Alain said nothing, but her silence was heavy. Tortoise closed his eyes. He thought and thought. He knew one truth clearly. Strength could not save him here. If he rushed out, the lion would crush him without effort. There was only one weapon left to him: the mind. They say when the body is trapped, the head must travel. After a while, Tortoise spoke, his voice calm, almost cheerful. "Ah, lion," he called. The lion paused. "What is it?" he growled. Tortoise chuckled softly. "These bones you are throwing to us, they are very sweet." The lion frowned. "Sweet?" he repeated. "Yes," Tortoise replied. "Very sweet. In fact, the more bones we eat, the stronger we become." The lion laughed. "You mock me from under a basket." Tortoise shook his head, though the lion could not see it. "No, great king," he said respectfully. "It is a secret known only to those who suffer. Bones carry power. When we finish eating them, we will become the strongest animals in the land." The lion stopped eating. Tortoise continued, "By the time we are done, even you will not be able to stand before us." Silence followed. The lion looked at the meat in his paws, then at the bones on the ground. Fear crept quietly into his heart. What if it was true? What if strength could be lost without knowing it? The lion dropped the meat. From that moment, things changed. He began to strip the flesh carefully and toss it into the basket. The bones he kept for himself. "Let us see who becomes strong," the lion muttered. Inside the basket, Tortoise smiled, for deception had found its first true victim.
Things continued this way for 4 market days. Each morning, the lion returns to the pot, cracking bones with his powerful jaws. He struggled, gnawing and biting, his teeth scraping hard surfaces. The meat, rich and filling, was thrown into the basket without care. Inside the basket, Tortoise and his family ate well. Their bodies grew strong again. Their eyes became bright. Even their laughter returned, though kept low so the lion would not hear too much joy. The lion, however, grew restless. Bones did not satisfy him the way meat once had. His strength felt different, not fuller, but thinner.
Yet, fear held him steady. He continued eating bones, trusting the words spoken from beneath a basket. They say fear can make a king behave like a child. In the afternoon of the fourth market day, the other animals returned. They had come to see how the lion had judged the matter of the cow. They expected fairness, or at least power. What they found instead stopped them in their tracks. There sat the lion, the king of beasts, bending low, struggling with dry bones, his jaws working harder than they should. The animals stared in silence. Shame spread across the clearing like spilled oil. A whisper began, then murmuring, then anger. "This is not our king," the leopard said. "A king eats flesh, not bones," the squirrel added. The lion looked up and saw the eyes watching him. He tried to stand tall, but the sight had already spoken. The animals did not shout, they did not fight. Together, in one voice, they spoke. "You have disgraced yourself," they said. "You are no longer fit to rule us." The lion roared once, a weak sound compared to the past. No one moved. He turned and walked away, his tail dragging behind him. And just like that, strength lost its crown. When the lion was gone, the animals rushed to the basket and lifted it away. Tortoise and his family stepped out, full and healthy. Tortoise bowed slightly and smiled. He said, "Welcome, you must be hungry." And in that moment, the forest understood something new. That power could be undone by words, and that wisdom, once spoken cleverly, could turn even the strongest upside down. The animals gathered around Tortoise's compound in silence. They looked at him carefully, not at his shell or his short legs, but at his eyes. Those eyes had seen farther than strength. Those eyes had bent power without lifting a claw. Tortoise invited them in. He shared the remaining meat among them, portion by portion, until no one stood empty-handed. Hunger loosened its grip, and voices softened. Laughter returned, cautious at first, then free. The owl spoke at last. "Strength ruled us," he said, "and nearly destroyed us. But wisdom saved you and fed us." Other animals nodded. Together they made a decision. From that day, they called Tortoise the father of animals, not because he was kind, but because he was wise. They said, "Let strength guard the land, but let wisdom guide it." Tortoise bowed his head, accepting the title without noise. But something else had entered the world that day: deception. The animals had seen it work. They had tasted its power, and they learned a hard truth, that clever words could bend truth, turn fear into belief, and change the course of events. From then on, animals listened more carefully. They questioned what they heard. They watched not only claws but mouths. And elders began to warn the young ones, saying, "Not every soft word is good, and not every loud voice is right. The mind can fight where the body cannot." That was the knowledge the animals learned, and humans will come to learn too. That wisdom can save a life, but deception, once born, never truly leaves the world.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more.